All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the channel, everybody. I think it's closing in on 1:30 right now. It's pretty hot outside. Most of the country is dealing with this heat wave, so I think it's around 100 right now. I usually like to shoot my videos outside, but it's too hot today, so I'm inside. Um, what I wanted to talk about in this video was, um, like physical ailments or anything that is physically different about us. Maybe we have scars, maybe we have burns, maybe we have cuts, maybe we have, amputations of some fashion. Uh, Maybe we're, hair loss, right? That's the popular one. Everybody goes through that, guys at least, right? So hair loss, all these things. Alopecia, right? That's another one that can affect where your hair falls out in clumps or all together. So any of those physical ailments, right, that we have, any of those things that make us different. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video. Um, and I will give you a quick little backstory on me. Um, I had surgeries when I was a kid for a brain tumor. So it was in the back of my head. So I have a big scar in the back of my head. And then I had radiation to get the rest of it. So I have some patches where the hair won't grow. And it really bothered me as a kid, right? Because it gave me a lot of anxiety. That creates a lot of self doubt and things like that. That it just spirals. Those mental conditions that form from stuff like that spiral um, into something. So I had suffered from that anxiety of having something different about me. And over time, I got over that. Um, and then, so I understand, having things different about you. It feels like a target is painted on you when there's something different about you. Um, our society, I think it's funny to me kind of how our minds work on things like this. This is something I'm curious in, is like the human condition and our philosophies and the way we think about things is interesting to me. So when it comes to being physically different, having things like this that are different about us, um, it's interesting because we all have that at some point, like all of us are going to have something usually, right, about us. You lose your hearing, you have to wear hearing aids. We have scars, we have amputation. These things, we suffer with hair loss, right? All these things are not unique experiences to us. It's like everybody kind of goes through this stuff in some form, right? Some fashion in life. But yet, when we suffer from it as an individual, we feel like we're targeted. We feel like this is mostly just happening to us. So that's just a real interesting dynamic there because society has this norm of what things should be, right? That's kind of what's pushed out there, right? That's kind of everything that's out there in the ether, in the matrix of the world, if you want to see it that way, right? It tells us what normal is and all these things, right? And so we get into our minds that we need to conform to what is quote unquote normal. And if we don't conform to that, if there's something different about us, it creates anxiety. Um, and this is a problem everybody has, that everybody suffers from these problems. So nobody cares. They're not judging you, they're not looking at you. um it's just a normal part of life, all these things. But because we have this society that has pushed this ideal of what is beautiful, what you need to look like, and all these things, that the programming is put into our heads. Um, and it creates all this anxiety for us over these conditions. So, um, the way that I have found to get over uh, that sort of thinking and being anxious and all those problems that go along with having things that are different about us is, I used to, as a kid, right, in my mind, I would run from my scar. I would run from, my not having hair in the back of my head. Um, I would run from that. But I found that when I turn around and I embrace the stuff like that I'm running from, it loses all of its power over me, right? So when we embrace things, it loses all of its power over us. And that's what we need to do is embrace those things that we think make us different, but really they don't make us different. They make us more the same than anything because everybody suffers from some form of something at some point in their life. And then so another thing that was kind of sparking this video too was, well, I'm because of my surgeries, my hearing was damaged by the radiation when I was younger. So I lost some hearing. I developed tinnitus. And as time goes on, as I get older, those symptoms only become worsened. So I'm going to be 51 next month. And, my hearing's getting a little worse and worse. Uh, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I think maybe I need to do something about it. uh, so I'm probably going to get like an over-the-counter hearing aid solution because I think in my case that would be perfectly adequate for me in my situation. So I think I'm going to do that. So I've been researching those hearing aids, and one thing I've come across is videos, and again, people don't, they're anxious about having hearing aids because it's something that is different about them. And again, it goes into that whole thing, right? It's like, something's standing out, something's different. You're not conforming to the societal standards of what normal is and what beauty is and what body image is and all these things, right? And it's like all of that is negative energy, negative thoughts. They create that anxiousness. They create that self doubt that comes into our heads, and it begins to alter the lens through which we see reality through. And we need to push all of that away. We have to push all of that out of our heads because it's just noise that is being projected upon us. And we don't want to listen to it. Um, there's nothing wrong with having any of these physical sort of conditions that we all suffer from, because like I said, everybody has it. These conditions are not unique just to us, even though it feels like it at the time. Everybody deals with that, and the best way to overcome those sort of anxiousness and insecurities maybe about some of those things for ourselves is to embrace that. Um, when I I would avoid as much as I could, right, talking about my scars and everything like that, because it embarrassed me. It gave me anxiety as a kid. Um, and so, but right, people are going to be curious. People are going to naturally be curious. You see somebody walking around with a scar. You see somebody walking around with a burn. You see people maybe going through life who have amputated legs or fingers or whatever it is, right? Um, People are going to be curious about that. And so the way to handle that is just embrace that curiosity that people have. And if they approach you and they ask you to say, "Oh, hey, yeah, this is what happened to me. This is kind of my story here, and that's what it is." So once you embrace that stuff and open up and talk about it, the weight is lifted off of you, and it no longer has any power over you. And it is a discipline to get over that stuff for sure. I mean, it took me a while as a kid to get over those things, you know. But now that I've dealt with that stuff at a younger age, I'm going to have to get hearing aids at some point here, and I'm looking into that. I don't really want to wear hearing aids, not because I feel like it's going to be a physical target on me anymore. I'm kind of past that, but it's just like I just don't want to wear them, So, but I think it might be helpful. It's getting to the point where it might be helpful, so I'm going to look into that. So those were just kind of the things that were going on in my head today, and sort of piqued my interest in talking about this subject a little more, because I do kind of find that fascinating that we have those anxieties and things like that about those physical conditions, those physical ailments and problems, um, that everybody suffers from in some form or another at one point in their life. And nobody's judging you. Nobody cares. They might be curious about it, and we just embrace that and talk about that. And all that negativity that we have in our minds about those things, that is coming from the matrix, right? That is coming from the societal program that's being pushed into our heads, about how things are supposed to be, and you know what a beautiful body image is, and things like that. And also it's also pushed onto us that body image, right? Our hair, what kind of physique we have, what all that, right? It's also sort of pushed on us that that is part of your identity. All that is super important, because that is part of your identity. That is part of who you are. That's why so many people will go to great lengths to maintain their youth and maintain their look. They'll get hair transplants, they'll do the Botox, they'll go under the knife, and they'll have plastic surgery and all of this stuff, because society pushes onto you that nothing is more important to who you are than your body and what you look like, which is absolutely absurd. And don't listen to that. That's that negative energy, and you don't want that in your life. So I hope this video resonated with people, and I hope it helped out somebody who might need to hear this sort of thing. It certainly would have helped me when I was young, as a kid, when I was like 7 or 8, dealing with my tumor, you know, uh, in the scar. So it would have helped. So hopefully this video can help somebody else out. Like and subscribe. Check out my channel and my other content on there. And if you do subscribe, think about turning on notifications, and then new videos that I post can get out to the right people that want to see them. And on this channel, I just kind of talk about anything and everything. Uh, Mostly, I'm interested in human condition, the way we think, and how we all deal with getting through life. You know, we all kind of do the same stuff. We're all a community here. We're not all that different. Society wants us to believe that. The Matrix, I talk about that in some of my other videos, is I think that's an influential movie to me. There's a lot of good philosophies in there, and that's where we are. We are in this matrix. We are in this program system that tells us how to be, and it's not mentally healthy to listen to all of that. So um, I think that's where I'll leave the video here. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.